All right, let's get to it. So inequalities with fractions. The good news is you know how to solve inequalities, and I think you're pretty good at solving with fractions. And so we put the two together today, and there shouldn't be any real issues here. So this will be difficult for those of you who struggle with fractions, obviously. But bummer, right? So I have 3 examples. Actually, I have 4. Should take us just a few minutes each, and then you can get to work. So your answers might be fractions, they might not be fractions, as you're used to. Sometimes it happens and sometimes it doesn't. So these are not graphing problems, by the way. We might graph them just for fun in the notes, maybe 1 or 2 of them. But when you do these in your assignment in Delta, it's not going to ask you to graph. It's just going to, the ones that you're doing right now where it just asks you to put in the math answer, it'll be like those. So what do we do first? Yeah, and why can we kill that fraction? Because it's on the outside, right? So what are we going to multiply by? Yeah. And if you do the power play here where you multiply by -4, which I'm not going to do, but if you want to, you can. But now you got to step up your mental game a little bit. And remember that if you take this first step, and if you were, I'm going to erase this in a second, but if you were to multiply by a negative, then you would have to switch that sign, because remember that rule applies to times and divide. So just to avoid any confusion, I'm going to not do that this time, but I just wanted you to know that you can. You just have to switch the sign, same as division. Okay. So let's multiply by 50. What do we get? Uh-huh. Keep the stuff inside the same, right? And then what? -20. Well played. Gorgeous. And just like that, we find ourselves, as was always the case with fractions, once you eliminate them, we're just kind of back to, oh, yeah, I know what to do. So let's wrap this up. What do we do next? Right. So the -12x doesn't get to play, but we do take the -3 or the -3 and we distribute it through these parentheses. And this continues to be one of the few spots that some of us mess up. So try to get over that. Remember, when you distribute a negative, that you have to give full respect to the fact that it's going to change all the signs of everybody that it hits. So don't let yourself say things like, "Ooh, it turns it negative." No, if it's already negative, it turns it positive, right? So what do we get? Plus 18. Very good. Right, so you got to remember to switch those signs. What would we do next? Yeah, and specifically, we want to combine the terms that are on the same side. So those two that I've underlined compare together, and these two compare together. Remember, this is not a step where you show work and like do show plus 20 or something. Don't do that. What you see is what you do. So how many X's do we get? -18 of those suckers. And what is 18 minus 20? -2. And then we get to that spot. It usually takes us 2, sometimes 3 steps to get to this spot that we are intimately familiar with now, where we got variables and numbers on both sides and we just do our thing. So you're going to become, over the next couple days, you're going to decide what kind of person you are. Some people would do this. And ordinarily, I might think, gosh, this kid's not following directions. But can you think of something good that would come from this little rebellious? You don't have to move it backwards at the end. So I will say there's something to be said. And if you want to be this person, make sure you are really good at that last step where when you divide by the negative, that you remember that you do have to reverse the inequality sign. So some people like myself, when I do inequalities, I got to be honest, I always just move my X's to the left because then I don't have that annoying step at the end. So if you want to do it this way, I know it goes a little bit against what I've taught you because you should be thinking, well, let's add 18x because it's smaller, but let's try it this way. And you might kind of be like, I like that because the X is already on the left. It's nice, right? So let's go a little bit against the grain here. Cancel those. How many X's do we get? -26x. But we're not scared, you know, we're not scared of a little negative. We know what to do. What's the next step? Let's add 2 to both sides. So if I add that 2 to both sides like this, I get negative 26x is greater than, what's negative? Negative 2. The last step is, yeah, and I forgot my x. I apologize for that. So let's divide by what? Good job. Divide by negative, bless you. Divide by negative 26. Remember, always divide by the number that's attached to the x, right? And we do at this point have to switch the sign. But like I said, what we've avoided is placing the x willfully onto the incorrect side. So I don't see it. I'm not scared of this. And a lot of you are probably like, yeah, that's no big deal. So you might become, put the variable on the left no matter what kind of person. It's convenient, right? So I'm going to put x. I am going to switch this sign because I'm dividing by a negative, and it's going to switch to is less than. And what is negative 2 divided by negative 26? Yeah, it's positive, and it's just a dumb fraction, right? Don't say something goofy like 13. You know that doesn't make sense, right? 2 pizzas split among 26 people. Everyone doesn't get 13 whole pizzas, right? They each get 1/13 of a pizza. So good on that. It's just fraction killing like normal. It just has that extra consideration of the directionality thing in the middle, the less than, the greater than. So let's do another one. I don't know how long that took, but it couldn't have been more than like 3 minutes or so. So we should be through these notes relatively quickly. I tried to pick, when I was writing these out last night, I was trying to just pick what I thought would be a good sample of what you'll see. And there's probably going to be something that looks a little different, but we're strong. We get it. What's my first step here? Good job, right? Remember, we're not attacking fractions right now. We're attacking parentheses. And the reason we're thinking in those terms is because this fraction, the one I'm pointing to with the little red arrow, is hiding from us. So we have to get him out into the open first. So we're going to do the left side is just a copy down. And then what do we get when we distribute that negative? Positive 1/4. Good job. -4. Champion level stuff. And I would accept a couple of different answers at this point. What should we do next? Say again? You could totally multiply by 12. I just wanted you to notice that we could also do what, Landon? We could, and I got no issues with it. I've said this before, that if combining like terms is super convenient, then it sometimes is worth it to just grab it and do it to save yourself a little bit of multiplication. So like you can't help but notice that we got a couple of really easy like terms just sitting next to each other. So let's just put those together while we're here. What do they make? What's a -4 minus 8 more? Yeah, if you're in debt to someone $4 and borrow 8 more, right, you're still negative. It's just more negative. So now I'm going to put those together to make -12. And you don't have to do that. I realize a lot of you would have said, let's kill the fractions, and that's totally fine. But it's just convenient, right? So might as well grab it. So now let's multiply by 12. It is time to kill those fractions. So remember to multiply everybody. I will also tell you, as the guy who graded a bunch of these quizzes a few nights ago, that another weak spot for some of you is that you forget that you have to multiply this and this. We sometimes forget those because we think we're just killing fractions, but we also have to multiply everybody else. Fair's fair. So don't forget. So what's the first answer going to be? -24. And then this first red arrow is going to be my first fraction kill. What a perfect time for the hook. What's 12 divided by 3 up times 1? 4. So I got plus 4x. And then I got another fraction kill incoming. Follow the yellow arrow this time. For this one, another perfect chance to hook. 12 divided by 4 times 1. You got it. And then don't forget, go all the way across. Follow that big, long green arrow. And what do we get? Say it again. -144. Very good. And there we are again for the 187th time. We're back at the crossroads where we just have to make a choice. So this time, if you're a make the variable positive person, or if you're a put the variable on the left person, it's going to look the same. There's absolutely no logical reason to subtract 4x. So we will subtract 3x because no matter what we like better, positive x or variable on the left, we get it from that. It doesn't matter. This makes everybody happy. And while we're here, let's go ahead and do a second step as well. We might as well do a couple. Let's add that 24 back across because we know he's on the wrong side now. So we're going to cancel out all the stuff that we can cancel. We're going to cancel out those, and we're going to cancel out those. And what are we left with? First off, for God's sake, it's negative, right? If you owe someone $144, that's a negative. If you only pay them back 24, you still owe them money. And you owe them now only 120 bucks. Right? Oh, how convenient. We don't even have to divide. So good. All right. Let's do a couple more. Let's make it official. What's up, dude? Addie, what's up? It's today and tomorrow. Yeah, so after I get done with these notes here in about 6 or 7 minutes, then it's all today and all tomorrow. So that's lots of work time for you. And again, if that's not enough time, then come on in on Friday if you feel like it. It's nice to get that done, and then you can go home and not think about it. I know it sucks to get out of bed, but whatever. That's kind of a first world problem, really, if you ask me. What do we do? We should kill them because they're out in the open. So let's go ahead. And honestly, you could distribute, but really, let's just get rid of them. There's no sense in dealing with this nonsense. What are we going to multiply by? 10. You guys are amazing. So when we multiply by 10, remember to multiply everybody. So the first one, of course, the hook will work right here. What does that hook us out to get? Good job. 10 divided by 5 times 4. 2 times 4, just like that. So 8. I'm going to put an 8 here, and then I'm going to leave the stuff inside safe, just like it was. And then don't forget, everybody else got to get smacked. What's the next one going to be? 30x. Plus 30x. Good job. Is greater than or equal to? Do the hook again. Negative 15 for sure. 10 divided by down by 2 is 5. Back up across times that negative is a negative 15. And then don't forget, finish the job. 10 all the way across to the x's. There you go. Everybody, equal treatment. So let's distribute. What do we get? Negative 80x plus 40 is at least negative 15 plus 10x. Let's keep it going. Next up. Look at these like terms on the left. That's just, again, that's probably only applies to maybe 1 or 2 people in this room. That's something you need to work on, is don't get ahead of yourself and start doing silly things like, ooh, I'm going to add 80x to both sides. Don't do it. Put the stuff together that's easy. What is negative 80x's plus 30x's? Negative 50x's. Good job. And for the third time in a row, look where we are. Back to this. So did you guys like the whole heck with it, move the variable to the left thing? Are you okay with that? Mm-hmm. It is actually pretty good practice. It assumes that you're not going to botch the step where you divide by a negative, but like we're all big kids here, right? We can handle that. So let's go ahead and say consequences, not worried about you. I'm going to pull 10x across because I want my variable placed correctly. So when I take 10x away, what does this x over here become? Negative 60. Very good. I'm not scared. It's a negative, but again, I'm just not scared. And you shouldn't be either. And if the x's then come and take over the west side, who's got to now show himself out? The 40 does, right? So 40 has to then say, well, I'm out of here, suckers. And he goes to the other side. It becomes a minus 40. And then what do we get over there? Nice. It's nice, you start October and you start feeling like I can do some of this a little bit quicker in my head. If you're not ready for it, I've said it before, don't do it. It's okay. Show every little thing if you want. And what do we divide by? Negative 60. And I am going to show this step just to really remind us of how important this is. So here I am. I'm going to cancel out those negative 60s. I'm going to drop my x and Switch my dang sign because I divided by a negative. Well, I agree. And that fraction, 55 over 60, is just screaming out to you. What can 55 and 60 both be divided by? 5, for sure. So what do we get? We get 11 and 12, just like that. Nice. Uno más. Last one. And then it's all work time from here on out for the next couple days. Okay. Last one. Yeah. How come we're not killing fractions? It's hiding. It's this little guy right here. He's like, you got to get me out in the open, sucker. So let's go ahead and take this 6 and distribute it through. And actually, this will work out conveniently for us. So when we do this distribution right here, something nice happens. This doesn't, you know from your experience that the hook doesn't normally just pop up. Sometimes just happenstance, you go, ah, nice. It works this time. And you're on that kind of lookout for the hook, and you can see that 6 divided by 2 works. And so the hook just kind of takes care of that. Fraction's like, I'll take care of myself. You don't have to worry about me anymore. What is that hook going to produce? Nice. And then don't forget to do 6 times minus 2. What's that? Negative or minus 12. And remember, I'm not fraction killing right now. So everything else just basically gets copied down. And at this point, again, I would accept a couple of different answers. What would we do next? Kill the fractions is absolutely fine. You could also, if you're feeling it, you could add these like terms, the ones I'm circling, because they're on the same side, and I think it's pretty easy. Let's go ahead and put those suckers together. What's negative 15x is right here, plus 1x right here. Negative 14. So I kind of like to, if it's possible and convenient, I kind of like to clean house a little bit before I put on my monster brackets. And now I think is a very appropriate time to do the deed. What are we going to multiply by? 3. Yeah, 3. All right, let's do this. We're almost there. What's it going to give us? 3 times 14, I know, is a little outside your comfort zone. First off, it's negative, right? Anyone got that? 42. Good job. So we got negative 42x. Next one, keep it going. Minus what? Nice. Is less than what? Negative 3 minus what? 2x. Good job. Remember to use that hook. 3 divided by 3 times 2. Hey, look where we are. So let's do it again. Let's move that 2x to the right or to the left. It's kind of against the grain, but we're good. We're tough. So if I add 2x, what does my xiness become over here? Nice. And if the x's say the left side is mine, get out of here, suckers, then who has to move? That minus 36 moves himself, becomes a plus 36. And what is negative 3 plus 36? And again, I put myself in a position where I have to divide by a negative, but you're with me on this. I'm just not scared. Like, this isn't my first time doing this, for God's sake. I know what to do. So when I divide by negative 40, I drop the x and switch that sign. Is my answer positive or negative? It is negative. And can I reduce 33 and 40? Nope. The only numbers that would reduce a 33 are a 3 and an 11, and of course a 33, and none of them go into 40. So that tells us you are what you are. Like that. You guys have any questions? This is just kind of putting it all together right here. So, all right, the rest of the day today and tomorrow is work time. Okay, let's get her done. All right.